Yeah, we can unmute. Sorry, we can mute everyone else. Okay, good morning to all of you. Uh, Today we are going to cover the fourth pillar of the constraint management. If you remember what we have mentioned, there are four constraints of any project. Maybe you can unmute, sorry, mute her. Yeah, so there are four constraints of any project. Uh, a project is delivered with the constraint of the deliverables, which is the scope, constraint of the cost, constraint of the time, and of course the constraint of the quality. So we have already covered scope, cost, and time. Today we're going to cover the quality. So at the end of today's session, you will be able to know how, as a project manager, you will be able to control the quality of the project, or how you will be able to deliver the project as per the quality which is specified or which is expected of you from the sponsor or the client. Now, this is a little tricky because quality to different people may mean different things. For someone, for example, suppose you're going in a air conditioning bus. If the temperature is at 21, 22 degrees, for some, the quality of the air conditioning will be fine. But for some other, even 20 or 19 is not fine. They want it really chill. They want it at 18 degrees. Only then they will feel the quality of the air conditioning is good. So therefore, what we have learned is that different people may have different understanding of the quality, and hence in any quality management, the first thing that you need to do is have a common understanding. What is acceptable not by one person, but by everyone, and specifically what is accepted by the client, and that is communicated through the project manager to the entire team or to the entire stakeholder. So that is the trick for the quality management. So as I've given that example, you will see, therefore, that the quality management process will start with the definition of the quality. Is 18 degree the right quality, or 22 degrees aircon is the right quality? So you have to define the quality. Once you define the quality, then you will measure whether the temperature is at 18 degrees or 21 degrees. And if it is 18 degree and the quality standard says 18 degree is what we need to put the bus aircon, that means you have delivered the quality. But if it is 18 degrees standard, but you're delivering 20 or 21, that means the measurement says it's too hot and it's not cold enough, and you're not delivering the quality. So therefore, if you see in the slide, the process of the quality management will start with the definition of the quality, then the measurement of the quality, and then you will analyze the quality. And based on the analysis, if you see that it was 19 degree as against an 18 degree requirement, that means you need to improve 19 to 18. And that's how you control the quality. So you will see it's a continuous process. So remember, this is how you manage the quality for any project. Define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. Now, therefore, the standard of competency that you will be achieving at the end of today is three competency areas. First one is determination, or the definition of the quality requirement. Second is what is the process that you will implement that will deliver the quality that you need. And the third one is how will you implement the improvements. Now, so broadly, you will define or determine the requirement of the quality, then you will put on a system or a process through which you will be monitoring the quality, measuring the quality, analyzing the quality, controlling the quality, and therefore you will be improving the quality during the implementation process. So that's what we are trying to get competent today. And we'll do that in next half an hour. I'll give you just the core. So quality requirement. So because we say the first is the definition of the quality, what is the requirement? Like the example I gave, the requirement is 18 degrees should be the temperature, okay? So how do we do requirement for any project? So you do the requirement based on multiple tools and techniques. The most important is there in the yellow box. That means you benchmark the quality standard as against the legislation. If you're in the building industry, there are legislations or law, what should be the structural strength, the cement and concrete mixtures, the load bearing capacity. So it is law, because if you don't go by the law, the building could be vulnerable and there could be accidents, or the life of the building may not be as long as it is expected, and the safety of the people who live in that building can be compromised. And therefore, most industries, there are laws pertaining to that industry. So the first thing you will do is research what is the law. If you're in IT, hardware, or you're in travel industry, IOTA, so there are laws. So first thing you will do is research the legislation. Second is there are standards by the industry bodies. So for example, in project management, in Australia, the industry body, which is apex body, is called Australian Institute of Project Management. Similarly, in accounting, there are chartered accounting bodies, CAs, and those ones. So industry bodies will define the standards, define the qualities. So you will research and then see, okay, this is the standard that I will like to uphold, because that's what the industry body is asking us to do. And third one is the clients themselves. The client will have their own standards. For example, suppose you want to buy an iPhone. Okay, you've got $500. Now you are the client, you have given to someone, outsource it to someone who will go and buy it for you, buy a smartphone for you. Now you are the client, so you will tell that buyer, the person who's going to buy for you, that look, I'm looking for 8 GB RAM and maybe 25 GB, whatever, 200 GB memory. So the specification or the standards, like the 18 degrees temperature I talked about, you will be specifying. So all your clients will be specifying the quality standards. If they don't specify, do not get fooled as a project manager. Right at the beginning, go and say, sir, I need you to let me know what are the standards you're expecting me. Standards for everything, standards for every deliverables. So three things that we have learned: that research the law of the land, research the industry bodies, and research the client's requirement of what quality standard they're expecting you as a project manager to deliver. After you do that, then what you do is you brainstorm. Whom do you brainstorm with? Various people. You can brainstorm with your own team, you can brainstorm your bosses, you can brainstorm with your experts, you can brainstorm with past clients, present clients. So you know whom to brainstorm, but the key word is when you brainstorm, people will actually let you know what are the quality that is required, what are the quality that they're expecting, and therefore what are the quality that you will put as your target to achieve. And the last is the group activities. So you can actually have several activities of the groups who will be either delivering. For example, suppose you're constructing a shopping mall. The groups who will be involved in delivery could be the groups who, one could be the civil engineers, second could be the electrical engineers, third could be the plumbing group, fourth could be the escalator group, fifth could be the air conditioning group. So different groups will have different expertise. So you will go and have discussions with those people, have those activities. So they will say, this is a standard that we will maintain, and this is a standard that we will be delivering or trying to achieve. So now what has happened with this slide, you have understood where to start from, where to start for the requirement analysis for the quality. Now then there are other methods which I'm not taking you through. Those are advanced methods. But these statistical methods like scatter plots and histograms and flow charts and control charts and Pareto charts, basically they give you what is there in the core in the middle and what is there in the outliers. So therefore you will try to deliver the core, and sometimes if someone says no, no, I have to be the extreme, the best, then probably you'll go to the outliers and say statistically that's where my quality should belong. But forget about those things. If you remember three things that is in the bullet point: law, industry body, clients, and understand those from the brainstorming or the group activities to establish the quality requirements. Now you have got the quality requirements. That means you know what will be expected to be delivered by you at the end of the project. Now, there are some universal standards that you need to also know. For example, a project manager should know about these standards. What is the work health and safety standard? Every country has got work health and safety. So, if you have a group of people working in your project site, you are responsible for the health and safety. Health is both physical health and mental health. For example, there has to be hard hats and protected equipments like boots and the vests. Those are required for you to maintain the quality standard and safety standard. Now you know for COVID, everyone, the safety standard is there has to be a mask, a KN95 mask. Okay, if you're traveling in an airline sitting next to each other than the protective mask, there will be a protective shield. So you should know these standards. Okay, so basically work health and safety are standards of most countries. Then environmental standards. Okay, what should be the standards for the noise pollution, the pollutions level if you're building a power plant where coal is burned, what is the environment pollution which is happening, so pollution standards. So you should know those ones. Then there are people related, which is equal opportunity. You can't say that I like someone and therefore I'll give that person the promotion. You have to give equal opportunity for everyone to get promoted or to get bonuses. Okay, then there are standards for industrial relations. If you are actually sacking someone, you have to give a minimum number of weeks or months of wages. Now those are standards. Okay, anti-discrimination. You can't discriminate between gender. You can't say that you're too fat, you cannot work. You can't say that you're too old and therefore you can't work. It's not about the discrimination because of age or physique. You have to give them the opportunity, equal opportunity, based on what capability or skills they bring in, and not based on how they look, what their ages are, and what gender they are in. Okay, and then there of course code of conduct. Code of conduct, that could be there should not be any racial discrimination. You cannot be sexually offensive. You have to be respectful to colleagues. So those are the code of conduct. Each of them you can study later of your own to understand more, but understand that these are called universal standards. Why we will be required to research the universal standard? Because these standards will let us know what are the standards based on which I will build this project, I will deliver this project. The next is to also deep dive and say the standard should be related to three things, which is the people standard, the process standards, and the product or the service standards. We already talked about people standard, that you cannot have discrimination, you cannot, you should have a code of conduct, you should give equal opportunity. So these are some of the people standard. The process standards could be the ISO talks about processes. ISO talks about processes. So those are the standards. Now those processes could be country specific, or within a country, different states can have different standards. For example, in India, the state of Tamil Nadu can have a very different standard than a state of Punjab. Okay, a state of Delhi can have a different standard than a state of Gujarat. So you need to study the state legislation and the state standards. Okay, then of course there are permits and contracts, there are industry code of conducts, then manufacturer specification, clients or the corporate policies and procedures. You must read the policies and procedures as a project manager. You cannot deliver a project for a client if you have not studied the policies and procedures for any client, for your own organization, and for the client's organization. So in real life, the project manager will spend initially a lot of time reading through those policies and procedures, because what the policies and procedures are, these are norms and rules. Okay, rules of dealing with people, rules of dealing with the process, rules of dealing with the product or the services, rules of dealing with conflicts, rules of dealing with any risk or crisis situation. These are all given in the corporate or corporate clients policies and procedures. And then of course the industry talks about the technical specifications. Okay, so for example, I talked about if you are in a chartered accountancy firm, then the technical specification of what should be, just give me a minute, I think I should switch off something. Sorry for that. My Alexa was playing, listening to me and reacting to what I was speaking. Yeah, okay. So the quality standards, therefore, these are all preparatory tips that I'm giving you as a project manager. Just go through the slides and you have got enough means to know what is the law of the land, what is the requirement of the organization that you work in, what is the requirement of the organization of your client that they expect. Okay, and then what is the industry specification. Once you study this, you have got all the requirements which are required to deliver your project. If you don't study all of them, you might deliver some standards, but you might fail in some standards. Remember, quality is a constraint. If you try to give over quality, it'll cost you a lot of time and money. If you under deliver, at the end of very hard work, the client will reject your service, reject your product, and therefore you will be financially lost and mental agony and bad reputation as a project manager. And therefore I've given these slides, and I expect you to go through the slides because this is really the summary made easy. We take about a month to go through each of them, and we practice each of them in the regular classes. But I've today given you 3 slides which captures everything: industry, clients, legislation, your own organization's policies and procedures. Now that we have set up the requirement, that means I could write the quality that I will be required to deliver, and I can explain that to everyone in my team. This is the build standard. This is the quality that will be built. Now the question is, how do I improve? The first thing of the improvement, remember, is to set up a system or a process that will improve. Many project managers makes the mistake that you try to improve with your sheer ability, your skill, your knowledge, and your experience. That is wrong. As a project manager, you don't rely initially on your own capability. You rely on the process and the system that you develop. After that, you rely within the process your own skills and experience and capabilities. So for the improvement process, remember, for the quality improvement, you will first write a process. Now, what are the concepts for the improvement? Some of the concepts that we all know is that one of the concepts is my customer should be satisfied. Now, therefore, customer satisfaction should have parameters. The customer should be saying, oh, your price is very good, your product looks are very good, if you're selling fabrics, the fabric quality is very nice. So whatever makes the customer satisfied. If you're in a airline, the food, in-flight service, the return policy, all these are customer satisfaction parameters. So if you research a little bit, you will know what are the satisfaction parameters. So these are some of the concepts that helps you into improving your improving your quality. Then the other philosophy or the concept that you look for is that prevention is better than cure. That means don't wait for there is a problem occurred and you're curing or you're fixing that problem. It is better you do preventive maintenance. You identify what could go wrong and therefore you prevent those quality failures to happen. So prevention is better than cure. And then of course quality is a continuous improvement process. You've delivered something, you have analyzed, you've understood the gaps, and then you're improving those ones. So these are some of the concepts of the improvement. And in the real world, in large companies, there will be experts who will be using methodology of quality identification and quality delivery called Six Sigma, Lean Six Sigma, and the Total Quality Management, TQM. Read these ones, Google search this one, what is Six Sigma, what is Lean Sigma. These are all methodologies or these are processes to improve quality. Okay. And of course, implementation of the quality is also through the performance management system. That means how well you're performing, and the management of the performance will help you in terms of improving the quality. Now, I will introduce this simple tool because this will be probably a lifeline. All of you will be using this, how to improve quality. So you will see it's a very simple register. It's like an Excel sheet. You can create an Excel sheet where you can say 1, 2, 3, 4 number of issues, quality issues that has come to your notice. You will be able to write each of the quality issues, when it came, which date, which month, description of the problems of the quality or the defects, and who raised it. Now, all these are the problem side of the register. The solution side is once you have known there are defects, what will be done, who will be doing it, when it will be done, what are the resources that will be allocated to fix those problems, and therefore what is the action history that you will document, and what is the communication plan to all the people that there was a problem you identified, this is what you have done, and therefore at the end you will write whether the status and therefore in your project is open or closed. The good issues register will, the right column will show everything has been closed at some point of time. And therefore we use a traffic signal color coding the last column. So anything which is closed, we say green. That means all good. Anything which is work in progress and very close to completion, not yet completed, it is like an amber traffic signal. Anything which is not been closed, it is not even progress to get closed, is red, because that is problem for you. You need to do something to close that issue. So when this register you maintain, you will know at any point of time how many reds, how many greens, and how many ambers. More reds means you are not managing your quality or the issues or the risks. If you see ambers, that means a lot of task is on your shoulder, on your team's shoulder. These are not closed enough, closed as yet, and therefore you need to do a lot of work. When there are a lot of greens, that means your team is doing well, you are doing well, client is happy, issues are coming, issues are getting closed. Problems are coming, problems are getting solved, and therefore the action history and the status is said is color coded as closed and green. So use this simple tool which I've introduced to you called issues register, and I've given you a very simple template. Use this template to record the problems line by line, date by date, description by description, and then you use the solution by allocating the problem to someone in your team or an external expert who will resolve this. And that is why this is called a tool to improve the quality. Okay, issues register is a tool to improve the quality. Now there are various sources. There are various sources from where these problems or issues can come to you. You should know. If you don't have, then you should create a system that these sources feeds you with these problems. Okay, because remember one of the competency that we discussed, as a project manager, you will be creating a process. The process should be able to capture what problems are happening all over in your project. For example, the war is going on in Russia versus Ukraine. Whether it's president of Putin of Russia or president of Ukraine, they have to have complete understanding of what are the problems happening or issues happening in every single corner, street corner or geographic corner. Okay, so you physically it's not possible unless you create a process. So the process in a project that you create could give you the sources where you collect the information about the quality problems. Once the problems are known, you can assign to someone to solve it. So these are some of the ways to capture the sources. That means you do quality audits. Okay, you send auditors and they do audits. You have regular communication, okay, from your regulators, auditors, government, industries. Then you have change requests coming to you. You should see all the change requests. And the question is, why the changes are required? If everything was going fine, there would be no changes required. But because change requests are coming, that means something is not up to the standard or more needs to be done, and therefore change requests are also sources of problems or sources of issues. Then the test reports, the contractor reports, in the team minutes of the meeting, the team members shares. They will say, last week this has happened, that contractor did not do well, my colleague was absent, or the equipment failed, whatever. So minutes of the meeting of the team. So some of these are your sources. So you as a project manager will create a process in which regularly you will conduct audit. Regularly there'll be communication. You will be looking at the change requests, test reports, contractor reports, and the team minutes of the meeting. That will give you all the issues and the problems so that you can identify the problems and therefore deliver it. Okay, then there are informal sources. Now, so therefore, to implement a quality process, you as a project manager will have these roles and responsibilities. 7 key roles and responsibilities. First, you will determine the standard, which I already talked about. Second, you will document the standard. That means you will write this is a standard. Third, you will plan to deliver those standards. How will you deliver those standards? By leading a quality assurance and a quality control activities. Okay, so next slide is about quality assurance and quality control. We'll talk about that. And then you ensure the quality of the audits are good. And then you will coach and mentor your team. You coach and mentor whoever is delivering those qualities. And lastly, not the least, is you will always report the outcome of your quality process. It is your responsibility to evaluate and report the outcome of the process that you put in, whether that is working to deliver good quality. So, as we talked about, you as a project manager will have to lead the quality assurance and quality control. So what is quality assurance? Quality assurance is a process that detects the quality issues and prevents the quality issues. Okay, so it's a process oriented assurance. And what is quality control? The quality control is activity based. It's not a process. A process is something which is written, process which is documented, okay? Whereas a quality control is an activity. What are these activities? You as a project manager will go for inspection. Okay, either go to the site to do the inspection, or if you're building something in the desktop, you will inspect every element in the desktop. So that is called inspection or audit for identifying the defects. Read more through Google search about what is quality assurance and quality control. But remember, these two are your responsibilities. And if you deliver a good quality assurance process, well documented, well written, you are a good project manager and you have done well in terms of the delivery of the quality of the project. If you have done quality control through inspections, audits, defect identification and defect rectification, you have done fantastically well as a project manager. Now, what are the activities therefore you will be doing? You as a project manager to manage the quality. So some of the activities are written here. One is testing and tagging. All equipment come with a test and a tag which is say tested on 1st of January 2022 and it lasts till 1 year, and therefore next January again it has to be tested and tagged. Okay, so that's an external, or there could be an internal in-house testing and tagging. Okay, so that is one activity that you will do as a project manager, or give it to someone to do it for you. Then you will do sample checks. You're producing shoes, someone is manufacturing shoes. You will go to the shop floor, pick up as a sample one shoe and see how the stitch is, how the leather quality is, whether it is good or not. So sample checking. Then external auditors can be hired by you, testers can be hired by you, inspectors could be hired by you, and they will go and audit. Okay, then regularly you will implement team meetings where they will be reporting about the quality, how good the qualities are being delivered, or what are the problems faced by the quality. Okay, so product testing reports are also part of this activity. So process for a quality assurance is develop the audit standards and the audit activities and use templates. Templates are part of the process. I gave you one template here. Okay. If you write that this is the template everyone will using for identification of the problem and solving the problem, then this is documented in a quality process. You have documented that in a quality process, and that is what I've written here, templates are. So these are some of the activities. Absorb it more when you have time to go through this recorded video, and then apply in the real life in any work that you do. So therefore, we come to the conclusion of what I shared with you today in terms of your role as a quality improver, is that quality is part of the constraint, as we talked about: scope, cost, time, and quality. To improve quality, it will always cost you money. It will always take you more time. Okay, and maybe you have to do more activities, and therefore the scope will go up. Therefore, again, I'm summarizing what I started 4 lectures back, that the 4 constraints we will be studying as a project manager, and the 4 constraints are captured visually through this so-called iron triangle, which is called equilateral triangle. That means it's a systematic triangle. If one goes up, others will also go up. It will not be asymmetric and not very systematic triangle. It will be very similar to this triangle. It will be an equilateral triangle that must balance. Okay, so remember this in terms of the overview of the constraint management. So today what we have learned is the quality, and I will summarize what we have learned and how to manage the quality. So this, if you keep in your desktop or print out and keep it in your office, you will be a very good quality manager. What are the 10 steps? Define the quality standards, know the law, industry or client or your own organization's policies and principles, implement those standards of people, standards of process, standards of products, then write a nice quality assurance process document. This is the process you will follow to deliver quality. Then use some of the tools like the issues registered that I've introduced. Use the process to capture the quality issues like audits, reports, complaints. Use other methodologies which are very advanced methodologies like Six Sigma, total quality management. Then focus on the prevention, then cure, focus on the continuous improvement, focus on your customer satisfaction, then lead and coach your team on how to write a quality assurance document, and how to conduct quality control activities like audits and inspection. And once you have done all these, you report what is the quality that you have delivered and what is the outcome of the quality management process that you set yourself. So this captures in one slide all the previous slides that we have learned today. And also today, because we are finishing the constraint management, so what we have learned today in the previous 4 lectures is scope management, time management, cost management, and today we have learned the quality management. So with this, I will take some questions. Goldie, you can actually stop the recording and then